control methods like WASD or X, circle, triangle and square.
It seems obvious now, but someone had to come up with it. Someone had to do this to do this. But more important than design is how it's used. Someone had to say, press X to jump, the triggers are the pedals in the car, and shift is sprint. Did you know that most games used to use the bumpers to ADS and shoot in an FPS? Triangle was to jump and circle was to attack. I played these games, I watched the controls change over time, and now I'm seeing the same thing happen in VR. Games like Onward and Blade and Sorcery use the touchpad like a traditional controller, but every VR game I play just seems to want to implement their own newfangled way to walk, whether it's teleporting or dashing or sliding or grabbing or pulling. Everyone has their own idea on how I should get from here to there. But to fully understand why this happens and is happening, I'm gonna have to take you back to a cold and dark and scary place. California! Paul Malucky's new invention, the Oculus Rift, is selling like hotcakes, but there's a problem. We're still using our old methods of control, and on top of that, this headset by 2018 standards is a piece of shit. Low frame rates, glare, low resolution, early tracking tech, things were less than optimal, and this was people's first introduction to VR. It made them sick.
Oh, puke bucket! Oh.
I actually feel like I'm going to be sick. I really, really do.
There's plenty of science behind why motion sickness comes from VR, and it isn't something that's just gone away over the years. Some people still can't play certain very intense VR games, but we can't deny that the headset and control method had a little to do with the sickness. So people didn't want to buy VR, they thought it might make the motion sick, and then you've just spent $300 on a piece of tech that you can't even use. But wait, don't worry everyone. There's a genius solution to motion sickness, and it's called... Oh yeah, this is just like real life. Oh! Now in theory, teleporting works just fine. You aim your controller where you want to go, and then you move there. And then any smaller movements you want to make, you do by walking around in your actual space. Except I don't remember the last time that I got anywhere like this. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen anyone. Only that, but this fade to black method completely pulls you out of the experience. Like, literally pulls you out of it. You can't see. I personally think the sort of slide to move that Doom VFR did is probably the best way to do this. But still, even with that, teleporting is just such a terrible method of movement. It removes the intuitive nature of VR. If you see something on the floor you want to pick up, you don't press a button on your keyboard, you just lean down and pick it up. If you want to duck behind cover, you just duck in real life. But when teleporting, I all of a sudden have this almost alien ability to move to a point instantaneously. So when I'm doing things like running through a hallway, I'm not going to be ducking my body behind the pieces of cover or stopping at the edge of a corner and then quickly running to the other side. I'm just going to be spamming move. And there's no loss from doing this either. If you get caught out by an enemy or something, you can just press your magic teleport button to instantly leave the situation. So yeah, I don't like teleporting. It was a very short-term solution to a very long-term problem. So come on, VR developers, I know you got something better in you. Show me something that's gonna change everything.
Oh dear God, no, please don't let it be true, no.
Dashing is a form of ritual torture created by Christ with the sole intent of punishing humans for their sins. And dashing is the worst movement system I've ever seen. Press a button, fly into a wall. This is most famously used by Doom VFR as its main movement method alongside teleporting. Okay, I'm gonna let me, last year during my Doom review, tell you about this one. Or VR, but Bethesda were just like, we forgot how to do that, so they added dashing. I wanna get over to that keyboard over there, and here we go, fuck, and nope, and here we go, fuck. no, and here we go, and here we go, and here we go, and here we go, and here we go. This is it. Ready? This one. Here we go, and here we go. And it's just kind of like you just kind of fucking jump everywhere. And at first it's really jarring, but the minute this turns into like anything that actually involves, I just realized I'm wearing a green shirt. Fuck. But any kind of exact movement. Let's say I want to go over there, and now I'm dashing, right? And now I'm okay, but now I'm way over here, right? I was just trying to go there. So let's try that again. We'll fucking... About a year or so ago, I was invited to demo this upcoming game called Frontline Heroes, a World War II team deathmatch with an exciting new control method that's gonna change VR and eradicate motion sickness. The game sold about 5 copies, and here it is. Entering a dead game like this is a lot like going into a ghost town. I tried to look for a server, but either there are none running or no one's hosting any. So I create a private match with bots, and the game crashes. Okay. Try it again. Hey, this kind of works. Let me just check the recording's working. Oh, so game crash. Wonder why no one plays this game. This is V-Move, that legendary movement system I was telling you about. When you touch on the touchpad, your character will run out of your body. You then decide his direction by the rotation of your hand, aka point him where you want to go by moving your hand around. When you let go of the touchpad, you take control of the character again. And this seems genius until you try it. The biggest problem is if you're turning a corner or walking through a walkway, whoever's on the other side can see you, and you can't see them. That's a big no-no in shooter games, because it gives the other players an advantage over you. And on release, they didn't have any way to do normal motion, so everyone playing the game was just constantly walking around corners, getting demolished by the other team, and never seeing anyone. The game peaked out at 34 players. Okay, let's try and wrap things up. I have played a lot more games than I've shown here, and while I compel you to make your own mind up about these things, I must say, any movement method that tries to remove motion sickness doesn't work. Games that change the movement scheme often have purpose behind it. Whether it's Creed forcing you to only move when you're not attacking, or Sprint Vector trying to tire you the fuck out, it often just hinders gameplay and immersion to please a crowd of people that is shrinking every time a new, better headset gets released. And I'm not saying screw you to everyone who gets motion sickness from VR. There are plenty of other movement methods that still allow for an immersive experience without giving you motion sickness. All I'm saying is, if you're going to invent a new movement scheme, make sure it helps a player more than it hinders them.